The playoffs are now upon us, ladies and gentlemen, and in today's video not only are we going to be predicting the outcome of the Championship first legs, we're also going to be delving into the League One playoff action as well. I want to hear from you guys in the comments down below. How do you see all of these matches going? And I've got to say, both in League One and the Championship, we've got some fantastic matchups coming up this weekend in the semi-final first legs. So do get all your thoughts down below, especially if you do support any of these sides. We will start out with League One and then we'll move into the Championship. Let's go. So starting out in League One for Peterborough up against Sheffield Wednesday. Two sides who have very recently played Championship football and both have the chance to return. For Sheffield Wednesday, for a lot of the season we thought that that automatic spot was theirs, but a dodgy run towards the end has ultimately meant that it will be the playoffs for them. Now, looking into the bookies' odds for this fixture, they've actually got it evenly placed with Peterborough and Sheffield Wednesday both at the same price to win this first leg. In terms of the form book coming into this one, the last 10 League One matches, Sheffield Wednesday have been averaging 1.8 points per game, whereas Peterborough have been averaging 2 points per game. So coming into this on that slightly better run of form, obviously it was that last day win against Barnsley which snuck them into the playoffs, with Derby also losing in the process. Posh have got Jonathan Clark-Harris, who just knows how to find the back of the net in League One, 26 goals this season, and he really has been their danger man throughout the year, and someone that Wednesday will need to pick up on. From a Wednesday perspective, I think that their playoff experience from last season, losing against Sunderland in two really quite evenly contested matches, that's got to count for something, and they've got to use all of that experience over these two legs with Peterborough. I think this one's going to be very close. I actually think for this first leg, I'm sitting on the fence between these two. The bookies have got this one evenly split between the two sides, and I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw there for Sheffield Wednesday to take back to Hillsborough. Next then to Bolton up against Barnsley, another brilliant clash that League One is throwing at us here. Now the bookies do have Bolton as the slight favourites coming into this one for the first leg. Bolton coming into this with a little bit more momentum. Barnsley somewhat taking their eye off the ball recently with just one win from their last 5 league matches, but they've been in a similar situation that you could compare to maybe Middlesbrough in the Championship, where they've known for quite some time that it will be a playoff finish for them, so it's only natural for them to sort of ease up a little bit, and this is where they fully throw themselves back into it. Now interestingly enough, these sides have met 3 times this season, twice in the league and once in the cup, and both sides have won a match this season, and there's also been a draw in there as well, so really evenly split between these two. There's not been that much to separate them in terms of points throughout the season either. If we look at Michael Duff and the fantastic work he's done at Barnsley, obviously we had them in the Championship last season, everything unravelled for them, but the job that he's done to get everyone back on side into a cohesive system, really underrated stuff. And then from a Bolton perspective, it's been 4 years since they've been out of the Championship, dipped all the way down to League Two, but the rebuilding job since then by Everett and the team around him has been fantastic along with that as well. I think this one's going to be a really close game, as I do with that Wednesday one, but I just see Bolton sneaking it with that home advantage and to take something to that game at Oakwell next up. So score prediction in that one, just narrowly going to go 2-1 Bolton, but another matchup which could go either way. Next up though, let's get into the really important stuff. It's time to talk through the Championship, and our first matchup between Sunderland and Luton is absolutely fascinating. I was obviously at Deepdale on the final day of the season when Sunderland made it into the top 6, and this is a real clash of styles that I can't wait to see these two going face on. What makes it even more interesting is the two sides have met twice already this season. Both those matches ended in 1-1 draws, so really nothing to separate them in terms of the head-to-heads. Now in terms of the bookies, they do have Sunderland as the slight favourites in this first leg, which I find quite interesting because I actually think that Sunderland have been a lot more profitable on the road than they have been at home this season, and as Luton have been the second best away team in the league, you know, they're the masters of the 1-0 and things like that, I think I'd maybe have Luton as slight favourites in this one, and then Sunderland maybe can look to open up a little bit more in the return leg. So this one for me is all about keeping it tight, ensuring that Sunderland are still properly within this game to take something to Kenilworth Road, and that's where I think we can see a few more of Sunderland's threats. I mean, the home crowd backing on, Sunderland will be absolutely ginormous for this one, but Luton haven't really bowed to any sorts of pressure from away atmosphere so far this season, so I don't think that's going to be something that they'll fold to. What makes this one even more interesting as well is that both sides have playoff experience from last season, Sunderland being promoted via the League One playoffs, and Luton were in this exact same situation last season. So I anticipate both sides to be a lot stronger because of those previous experiences. It's the two sides on the longest unbeaten run in the Championship going up against each other as well. Luton unbeaten in 14, Sunderland unbeaten in 9. What my only concern is with Sunderland for this game is I look at the way Luton are going to look to approach this one with Adebayo and Morris up front, two just fantastic strikers who can be so dynamic and so physical, is the fact that Sunderland have got both Daniel Ballard and Danny Bart missing from their back line. Both defenders won over 3 aerial duels per 90 this season. I think only 3 Sunderland players have done that this season, and the other one's Ross Stewart, and he's also going to be out. So the sort of game that Luton are going to look to turn this one into, putting that Sunderland back line under all sorts of pressure, I really feel like one of those players could be missed in this sort of tie against a side like Luton. With that being said, Sunderland have their own unique threats that Luton will be worried about in this game, and from nowhere Sunderland can get a goal like that. We saw that on the final day of the season, the ridiculous strike from Diallo, but the other threats they had as well. Pritchard with a really good impact off the bench, and Jack Clark, who's so good in those 1v1 situations. And those individual battles between the wing backs at Luton and the wide men at Sunderland are probably what this game ultimately hinges on, and whether Sunderland can come up with that moment of quality or not. Luton have been impeccable on the road this season though, and they are the masters of a 1-0 away win, so not saying that they're going to win the whole time, not committing to that yet, but for a score prediction in this one, I actually think Luton may sneak it 1-0 on the road, which would keep things nice and open for the return leg. And then to the second of our semi-finals, we have Coventry up against Middlesbrough. Really looking forward to seeing this one. Two of my favourite managers in the Championship who have both done an excellent job in Mark Robins going up against Michael Carrick, and made even more interesting by the fact that we just had this fixture in the Championship. The two sides playing at a 1-1 draw, albeit very different set of circumstances coming into this game. We have seen that bit of a natural tail off from Middlesbrough in the league in both results and overall performances, but I think that's only been natural with a little bit of rotation within their squad and the fact that they've known for quite some time that they have had a playoff spot sealed up. In terms of the bookies, they do have Coventry as the slight favourites in this first leg. Certainly think that plays into how strong Coventry have been in their home matches this season, and at times Middlesbrough have shown a little bit of fragility. What I do think is I really think Coventry need a result here to take to the Riverside because of how strong Middlesbrough's home form has actually been. I think if Middlesbrough managed to take back an advantage of 1 or 2 goals, I see that being quite tough for Coventry to then go ahead and turn around, but this is the opportunity where I do think they will get quite a few opportunities and chances to really have a go at this Middlesbrough side. In terms of momentum, it is Coventry who have a little bit more of that at the moment. They're unbeaten in their last 7 matches, and like we were touching on before, the home form has been absolutely fantastic for this Cov side this season. In terms of the head-to-heads between these two, that does favour Coventry, albeit earlier in the season when Coventry did beat Middlesbrough 1-0, it was still Chris Wilder in charge at the Riverside, and so we can't really read too much into that fixture. In terms of how I see it going, I think Middlesbrough are going to have more of the ball. We tend to see them playing it around quite well under Michael Carrick, and then the dynamism of what they have in the final third is just that they can hurt you from so many angles. Cameron Archer been prolific in this second half of the season, added on to the impact that Akpom's had in that time as well, but Coventry also have their magic men and are happy to break on you in the transition. Someone like Gyökeres, if he gets a defender isolated, suddenly people start panicking, and to be honest, I think both teams will score in this game. It's a 2-legged affair, which I see quite a few goals being scored in it throughout the overall tie. Coventry have been brilliant this season with keeping clean sheets, but Middlesbrough have those unique threats that can put defenders and goalkeepers into uncomfortable situations. So with me, feeling like Coventry have to take something to the reverse fixture to properly keep this one alive with how good Borough have been in their home matches. I think I'm going for a draw between these two. A score draw, I'm going to say it's going to end 1-1 in the first leg, which will very much keep the tie alive for the second leg at the Riverside. There we have it though, guys. Those are my predictions, how I see those playoff ties all unfolding. Do get your thoughts down below for both the League One and Championship playoffs. I can't wait to watch them all over this weekend. Think we are in store for a cracking weekend of football overall. But thank you very much for tuning in, guys. If you did go on to enjoy, do leave a like, stick around and subscribe for some regular Championship content, and I'll see you all in the next one.